1, 2, 3. Hello, and welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
Who are you? What do you want with us?
I am your host, Davindicator Skellhorn.
How was that?
No, not Heather.
I got it.
Davindicator.
Yes.
And with me, as always, is my host,
Heather?
co-host. No, not Heather.
I was gonna say.
Heather?
No.
That last one's probably the clearest and most obvious as to what he's saying.
It's Andre Shamandre.
Yeah, it's close.
Shamandre.
I got Shaman, but continued on in Andre.
Doing there.
Although for a minute I thought his name might have been changed to Medicine Man in this because Wolverine says it with such clarity and conviction. It sounds like that is his name until he quickly calls him Shaman right after it. And I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense.
As we know about this show, Wolverine never calls anyone by their real name. So
no, he certainly does not.
Not often, anyway.
This show does continue a problematic trend of depictions of Native Americans or indigenous people.
Puyeta is back.
Puyeta. Oh man,
yeah.
Shaman's got some pretty cringy lines in a modern day world, but it's still a fun episode.
You must do whatever the Great Spirit wills, my friend, and so I fear must I.
Every native person in this show is some wise shamanic sort of character that just has proverbs and I get that at the time this is the way it was. Not excusing anyone for that, but it's so funny. It's like this show particularly just seems. I guess maybe it's because most shows wouldn't depict Native American characters, or I guess to be Native Canadian characters in this case. However, so you may not have seen it as much at the time period, but man, I mean, kudos to them for including these characters. I just wish they would sound a little more like normal people, and less like magical people that live in the woods, just distribute profound wisdom and I don't know, mysticism.
Welcome to our Canada themed episode, everybody.
That's right, it is Canada themed.
I was getting ready to give Andre flack for not dressing up for the occasion, but of course he has.
Of course,
he has his Canada tank top on there.
That's right. It's the only thing I think I have with the word Canada on the front. So,
and I have my red plaid and a toque and some headphones. Hey.
I guess we're going to get into this episode and we'll discuss it as we go along. But I did appreciate that not everybody was just a Canadian stereotype.
Not everyone,
no, only Puck, really. The rest of them seem fairly normal. Well, I guess the Aurora and North Star.
The Puck was stereotype enough for everyone.
Yeah, I didn't really like his voice that much. It was a bit higher than I would like to see him have a deeper voice.
We're going to get into that. We should probably mention we're here to review Season 2, Episode 5, Repo Man of X-Men, the animated series,
which is
written by
choice.
The great Len Wein,
creator of Swamp Thing.
And creator of Wolverine.
Yeah, he was the first writer of Wolverine. I actually have it's on the wall over there, but it's a comic by it's Herb Trimpe's last Hulk issue, signed by him, and he was the first artist to draw Wolverine. So because Wolverine appeared in Hulk, as we all know. Man, they never do that in the series. They never do that in the series, do they? Have that colossal, that awesome fight between Hulk and Wolverine in the woods with Wendigo and all that.
I don't want to say that doesn't happen, at least in a flashback.
I really wish they could have done a whole episode of that. It seems like every season so far, I mean, it's only season 2, so like we have a lot of trends. But I mean, there's only 5 seasons, so it seems like every season we get that one Wolverine-centric episode. Last season we had the one where he ran off because Jean Grey was marrying Scott, and this season we get him getting called back to his past life with Department H in Canada. So it's interesting. It'd be cool. That would have been a really good one to have like a flashback episode, or even just a standard Wolverine episode where he runs into Hulk in the woods. That would be great. I would have loved to see that, especially in the style of the show.
This is a Canada episode. We should have said Department Height. Because we should be speaking Australian.
That's only in Pride of the X-Men, as you know.
Oh, right. This is not that. Right. Check out our Pride of the X-Men special, everyone.
Which still kills me that he was called Wolverine. He was from Australia when there are no Wolverines in Australia.
A marsupial type Wolverine down there.
Also, in this episode, we do get
lost like the Thylacine.
In this episode, we do get him naming himself essentially Wolverine, but there's not really any reason as to why he chose that name. Maybe that comes later. But
because he would hang out with him when he was feral in the woods.
Well, that's a bit of a stretch. We've seen no evidence of that whatsoever.
I always took it because he's little and so are they, but they're like crazy strong and aggressive for their size. So like it's the perfect animal to describe them, really. Like they take down
and they're savage
deer and everything.
Yes, but it's just it makes sense if someone else named him. It's odd for you to name yourself that, But regardless, we get a lot more picking away at Wolverine's origin story, as we all know, those who read comics. It was eventually fleshed out in Wolverine Origins as to where he truly came from. However, at this point in the series, which would have been 94, 93, 94, we didn't know any of that in the comics. Wolverine still didn't know his past. All he knew was that, he had no memory before he was a part of Weapon X. So we learned that. A little more of that from that on into here. So it's a good episode. Should we jump into it, or do we got anything else you need to say before we?
No, jump into it. Oh, wait.
All right.
1 second.
Previously on X-Men.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Piotr, is the terror really over?
Yes, thanks to such friends as the X-Men.
That gave us nothing. Nothing. That told us nothing. If you hadn't seen the last episode, you'd have no idea what that has to do. That does not catch you up at all.
You know that Colossus reunited with his sister?
I guess. But
you know that they have great friends in the X-Men, and because of that, they'll always be safe. What do you want from an ending?
I mean, I like something that would tie into this episode, but since they're really not connected at all,
no, it doesn't do that.
There's nothing there. I mean, usually the previously on is to catch you up as to what's going to happen in this episode. However,
for a while they're unconnected. It was during all those sinister stories.
Well, there are an awful lot of two-parters, right? Early on in the season, they seem to have eschewed that. Probably realizing because every to be continued episode just leads into the next episode of the series. So what's the point? Because they do have these plot, as famously as we've discussed many times with some of the creators, they do have these plot points that were specifically part of the draw of the series was that it had continuing plots that went over the whole season.
Were you just subtly taking us to the gun show there, Andre?
No, I was suddenly trying to fix my headset because I got this hat on.
I'm just adjusting my earphones.
It truly was. Seriously, if I want to take you to the gun show, you'll know. You just got a little. You just got a sneak peek. That's all. So you can come by the gym and see me every day in Truro if you want to see the gun show. So beginning this episode, we get Wolverine in a forest in Canada, calling out, as you so succinctly put earlier, Heather repeatedly yelling into the woods. It's odd that he would meet her in the woods. Like, do they have a tree or a rock that they used to meet at? Like, why that specific place? It didn't look like there's any landmarks nearby. I mean, I guess he was on the ledge of some kind of a mountain or cliff. I'm guessing he'd be near the Rockies because there aren't a ton of giant mountains in Canada that aren't necessarily in the that area.
Well, maybe he doesn't know, and that's why he's running around yelling her name.
He goes to every province.
Meeting in woods, they're huge.
He goes to every province and just yells. He's like in Nova Scotia, like at Peggy's Cove. He's like, yeah, there. He's New Brunswick, Heather. He goes to Quebec. He's hanging out like Heather. But eventually, he is attacked by roots that come out from under the ground, to which he slices them away. And then in probably the most dramatic entrance ever, Vindicator emerges from the ground and attacks him, saying that he needs him to come in with him. because Vindicator's powers are always been vague to me. He has force fields and shoots beams. As we've established, he can cover himself in a force field. Rather, I don't think he can extend the force field beyond himself. But he does make an impressive pose, and I do love that costume so much. So it's pretty cool to see it. Yeah, it's really cool to see it in live action. Rather animated. So they come out. He reveals that it was not Heather, Wolverine's friend, who we'll learn about a little later, who summoned him. It was Vindicator. They requested he come back to Canada. To which there's a good quote where he says, "You in what army?" Do you have that?
Yeah, I do.
I feel like that feels like one you would have.
I've come to take you back. Yeah. You and what army?
Funny you should ask.
And there's Puck at the end.
Which Puck makes his dramatic entrance come. He never seems to move. I mean, it's probably just the animation, but he never seems to move that fast. Which, like when he's rolling and coming at people. So it always just sort of seems like a gentle sort of nudge that just makes everyone go flying over. I mean, I know in the comics he spins and he comes at you like a puck, I guess, although he's more like a ball. I know it is Canada, so we do have to say he's Puck because hockey's a Canadian thing that we all know. And
it's probably a play off the Shakespeare character as well.
It could. John Byrne did create them, so that would be something he would probably do. But and he is Canadian, so I don't know. I feel like it probably was. I mean, he was born in, I think, the UK, but he was raised in Canada. So that feels like something he would probably do. But I feel as though the hockey-puck relation is probably the more prevalent reference to his name. And he dresses all in black like a puck as well. So unless it was that brief period in the early 2000s when they decided to illuminate the puck on TV so that you could see it better. Do you remember that, Davin?
Oh, I do. And you know what they could do? They could put Puck in Vindicator's force suit, and then he could light up and glow, and people could actually see him then.
So I don't know if that was. I think it was the NHL in general. I don't think it was just Canada, but there was a period where they decided.
No, it wasn't Canada at all. It was on Fox.
It was the States. Okay, that makes sense.
Or NBC. It was Fox or NBC.
So one of those stations decided that the black puck on the white ice wasn't enough of a contrast, and they used digital effects to make the puck illuminate during the match. You could have a better, or during the game, so you could have a better look at where it was on the ice. I believe there was a lot of pushback, and eventually it was discontinued for good reason because it was dumb. Now, so then as Puck shows up, attacks Wolverine, then the rest of the Alpha Flight make their appearance known. To which Wolverine says something along the lines, "You can send every mutant in Canada after me, and you still won't take me in," implying that we now know that these are mutants from Canada, in which we see Shaman, Sasquatch, Puck, Aurora, Northstar, Snowbird, whose powers I didn't realize were transforming into animals. I thought she just had snow powers.
Yes, she's actually a goddess. She's not she's a...
Yeah, I knew that. It's some kind of a mystical thing, but I didn't realize she changed forms. It's been a while since I've read those.
Yeah, that's what she does. Yeah, she changes into owls and wolves mostly, and bears.
Sadly, we are missing Marina, the other.
We didn't see. I was going to talk about that later for sure.
In this depiction of the series, but we got a nice array of Canadian characters. Sasquatch has been pretty. I'm use this word again, prevalent in a lot of comics lately because he's been a big part of what's going on in Al Ewing's Hulk storyline, Immortal Hulk story. So we did get more of that, which is fun. But anyway, they get into a fight with Wolverine. The Shaman has a lot of ridiculous dialogue, as you you showed us earlier. Happens to use his powers to. He seems like him and Wolverine have the least animosity towards one another. But they do want him to come back in. They need him to rejoin the team. Vindicator seems quite upset that Wolverine abandoned his post and left them to go join Xavier, which he references directly. So it's known to them that he has left. Man, I like that Sasquatch design in the show. They kept it. I mean, I like all their designs. They kept it very tight to what they were in the comics, which is really cool. So then
they looked good. Now, did they sound good? Is what we may discuss
for the most part. I think they were okay. I mean, Snowbird barely said anything, and in a Northstar,
Sasquatch, they sort of made him sound dumb at first.
You left us. That was wrong.
But like he's the scientist, he's the smart one. Like,
I don't know if
that was wrong.
He kind of yeah, I agree. They didn't give him the sort of beast dialogue we normally get, but I wouldn't expect it from him either.
I guess not. Maybe that's
I-
why they wanted
I
to
do like the
differentiate from Beast. That makes sense.
Like the timbre of his voice was cool. He did
Oh,
sound
yeah,
kind
that
of
was-
big and hulking, which I liked.
That was fun.
So yes,
You can
they
send
managed.
every mutant in Canada after me. I ain't coming back.
So they know they need to get Logan back to the lab. They knock him out, I believe. Is it they get him with the weeds, and then what do they hit him with?
They hit him first, I think. Oh yeah,
No, the weed
Sasquatch
pulled him
just
down,
pounds
and
him a couple times. Oh
Sasquatch
yeah, then
pounds him down. That's what
Sasquatch
happens.
pounds on.
That's what happens. So they get him knocked out. They use this thing to tie him up, this sort of mechanical thing that Puck puts on him, and they take him back to the lab. Now, well, he's
Shackles,
not.
they call them.
Well, that's just a term for handcuffs, really, or any kind of thing to keep you shackled. So then, as Wolverine's knocked out, we get a flashback, which shows him with Dr. Abraham Cornelius.
Right here, eh?
Oops. Yeah,
Stop cutting me off with your
it wasn't me, it was
delightful
Puck.
Puck dialogue. I don't like his high nasally voice, eh?
That's never how I pictured Puck talking.
Me
I always
neither,
pictured
me neither.
him as being kind of a gravelly, low voice. Like
Yeah, me too. Or deep voice. Yeah, I think maybe because he's short in stature, they feel like he needs to have a high voice, but I don't really.
But he's only
foresee
short in
that.
stature because he's trapping a demon inside his own body, and
Yes,
it's
which-
compressed to make him that size.
But is he a mutant then? Because demons don't really tie into mutant powers.
No, I don't think he is. A lot of Alpha Flight isn't mutants.
Perhaps they eschewed the demon aspect. I like it better that the mutants. You got to look on that. So then we cut back to Wolverine hanging out with Dr. Abraham Cornelius.
Like,
who,
I don't know if anybody of them are, but Marina.
mm,
Oh no, Aurora and Northstar are.
Yeah, for sure. And Vindicator, isn't he? Or is it the suit that
No,
does
he
that?
just has a suit.
God damn it. So shows Cornelius watching Logan is in a tube as we learn that they have captured him and they're doing this adamantium process, which looks a lot less painful in this version of the series than it does in everything else that's ever depicted it. It just sort of fuses through his body like it's on the outside. It just sort of fuses through into his bones. So
It's true.
They,
yeah.
it does, like in the series, there's always like in the X-Men movies, at least, and other things that they've showed him in, there's always like these like needles that are jabbed in all over his body that are putting the liquid adamantium directly into his bones. But this time, for somehow just almost phased through his skin and then molded to his bone structure. Not quite sure how that works, but anyway, animation. I'm sure they can't have blood and agony and him screaming for the sweet embrace of death on this kid show.
Here's your Brian Cox. I'm the one who only gave you claws moment here.
You're always an animal,
Your
Logan. I just give you
bones
claws.
should now be unbreakable. In return, we hope to make use of your gift.
Not quite the same.
Little bubble at the end.
That's the scientist, taunting
So
Wolverine
and then of
terms on it.
course they realize it seems as though Wolverine didn't have claws before in this continuity. I know that wasn't established until Origin that he had bone claws. Actually, no, it was established before in Fatal Attraction when Magneto pulled off pulled the adamantium out of his skeleton.
At
that
first,
brief-
they were just part of his gloves.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's even
Yeah.
dumber. Way better this way. So, as he's stuck in the cage, the thing was a success. It appeared
We have a clarification from our
the Fox Tracker was the name of the glowing puck.
Fox
Thank you,
Tracker
Justin.
was the name of the glowing puck. Thank you, Justin.
And thank you for following our social media, Justin. We saw your comments
Yes.
earlier, and we know you're a fan of Vindicator and the show, and we're very happy to have you on.
Hey man,
The
thanks
Fox
a lot.
Tracker. That sounds like something Fox would create and continue to go on with. So then
Should have got a little CGI dog to chase it, and then you
God.
could call it the Fox and the Hound.
A little CGI Ted Cruz to stand on it so that you can get extra satisfaction from people smashing it around the arena. But let's not get political. So so then we see we don't really know where he came from, but we know that this group got a hold of him and bonded the adamantium to his skeleton.
Mhm.
Then the claws come out, which they didn't expect. Although it looks as though when they're putting it through, that they had intended for that to be something for it to cause. Because if you look at where all the lines were, where the adamantium was going through, there was like one that had the little claws right over the hands. So he makes them pop out. He busts out of the case, which he couldn't before. Everyone runs to try to subdue him. He kills them all. Not really kills, but knocks them all away. Smashes the equipment. I love it in cartoons, especially whenever someone just like smashes some equipment, it's enough to blow up the whole building. Whole building goes up in flames. And of course,
Wolverine does that a lot in this show.
As always, we see the door open and all the scientists escape to safety just before it all explodes.
Remember, he was looking for the switch. Where's the switch? And he's just like,
he's just clawing everything. All the scientists run out to safety, and the building explodes. And Wolverine escapes into the woods. Cornelius, of course, escaped as well. I'm sure that's not the last we're going to see of him. It is the last we see of him in this episode, but it is not the last. I assume you would know better than I if he returns, but I'm assuming so.
In this series? I don't remember as much of this series as
I know. There is
first 2 seasons I do, but after that, it's probably.
I do have a note later about how they expand on his origin story later, so I'm guessing perhaps that character may return.
Yeah, there are a lot of Weapon X. There's like a Weapon X 3-parter that comes. Weapon X Lies in Videotape. I'm pretty sure that's a 3-parter.
Yeah, which is a great title, by the way. Especially considering the Soderbergh movie came out probably around that time. Or just a little bit before that time, and also it's a reference to Sex Lies and Videotape, which is something that you think with the show being as careful as to not tread on anything that's really adult, they would have perhaps avoided making that connection. But anyhow,
I'm enjoying all the things they do sneak in for adults.
Yeah, it is fun. So back in the present, we see Jean Grey is trying to use Cerebro to find Professor X, but she cannot. We get a bunch of
that's great.
Flashbacks.
Please, Professor, speak to me. Wherever you are, give Cerebro a sign. Let us know you're alive.
Any sign of the old man shell?
I just love that little gambit at the end. And is that old man shell?
Yeah. Is that the old man shell?
It was.
She's doing this right epic thing though. She's like, please speak to me. He's just walking there. Is he the old man shell?
And I don't want to shit on the Creole accent because I actually really like it, but it's not like it's pretty far from the English accent, which is probably universally agreed to be the most smartest, like the most intelligent sounding accent. So just this Creole guy, just in the back, like you expect with a beer in one hand and like maybe a bowl of gumbo in the other. Like, you got something going on over there, chap? It's almost, I think it was who was it? I think it was Jason Sudeikis used to do this hilarious Creole accent when he was on SNL. And there's some sketch he was in, which he was like trying to get someone to fight a crawdaddy or something. It was really funny, but man, it just made me think of that. Someone's going on over there, shop. Man, that's my new favorite. We got to isolate that one, and it should become our new "Here's to You" morph, which does appear again in this episode, which I thought you may enjoy. We get that "Here's to You" more flashback of Wolverine.
This one's for you, morph.
I even got it wrong. It's been like the highlight of the show from the start, and I'm still.
We might have took a couple episodes off it by accident. Usually gets into everyone though.
It does. It's our drinking. Every time you hear it, you take a drink.
So drinking today, Andre?
Actually, it's just water today. Soda water. I got to wrestle on the weekend, so I'm trying to keep tight. But after wrestling, that Saturday night, alcohol will be consumed. So she's trying to get there. We get some flashes of other mutants across the world feeling her presence as she's seeking out Magneto, which is fun. She sees them for the first time, and then I'll get to that when we do our points later, which is fine. But then we cut back to Wolverine being captured by Alpha Flight. He's brought back to the lab. Then we were shown that Heather's actually the one who lured him back. It was her idea because the government is trying. Department H, who we learn is the one behind Wolverine's capture, that are also the Canadian government sort of Canadian mutant management government liaison office, whatever. Or trying to recreate the adamantium bonding process to Wolverine, and or have been unable to do so, and want to know the secret as to why Wolverine survived. Wolverine very quickly tells them, because I have a mutant healing factor, which seems like the obvious reason. Like, why do they have to keep trying? But
listen to the Frenchies play.
Well, before we get to all that, I guess we get another flashback which shows how Wolverine escaped from Weapon X and then found Heather and James Hudson, who were married and hunting with a rather futuristic-looking rifle in the woods, to which Wolverine encountered them, attacked James, and then Heather sort of managed to calm him down. They bring him back to their cabin, where they take care of him and help him
Oh.
find himself.
You know what? This is a Canada-themed episode, and you know what we haven't said yet?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Take off your hoser. Take off Oh, I should have wore. Oh man, you know what we should have wore to be totally
What?
Canadian is jean jackets. We need a jean, the Canadian.
I don't have
tuxedo.
one anymore.
I do have one. I have a jean vest and a jean jacket. Well, my jean vest is jean vest is part of my wrestling outfit. The jean jacket is just something I never wear. But
the Canadian tuxedo.
I'll have to. I'd run and get it, but that'd be too long for breaking this, so it's fine. We'll just to know that I have one in the closet. So then they gave Wolverine. They even show him giving him the plaid shirt that he generally always wears in the show.
It's true.
Orange, which is funny. It's like we got an origin story for that orange plaid shirt that he wears whenever he's in his skivvies, or not his skivvies, but his civvies, civilian attire, which is funny. So then they take care of him, help him recover. What he went through at Weapon X, and we learn that James and Heather take Logan to Department H, where they are a part of it. I guess it's not really established as to what their connection is initially or how they got there. But he meets General Chasen, which is an odd name.
I think it would actually be pronounced Chason here.
Well, no, Chason is spelled differently than that. If it's the French Chiasson usually.
Yeah, is that not how it's spelled? Chasen?
Chason, it sounds pronounced, but it's spelled Chaisson. No, within the credits, his name is spelled Chasen, like Chase.
Okay.
But yeah, it does. It's
he was Chason.
I mean, we could stretch it and say that our American friends that were doing the show tried. Maybe they I guess they didn't have Google at the time, so maybe they had to like guess what Canadian surnames were. We didn't get any Scalehorns or Mayettes, that's for sure.
No,
but so yes, 3 seasons to go. So they introduce him to him. They say that he could help their group, Department H, which is the monitoring Canada's super team of mutants. Wolverine eagerly agrees, saying that these guys help them. He's happy to help them back. They give him a new costume. He goes and changes. They're calling him Weapon X. I'm guessing in relation to the fact that, I mean, they didn't even establish that that the program was called Weapon X that made him that. So it's a little vague, but if you know enough about the comics, you know what happened. So James calls him Weapon X, says welcome to the team, and he says, quit it with that Weapon X, stuff. Call me Wolverine. Which is cool.
It's the Weapons Plus program, and he's the
but that was established way later.
It was
way later. I mean,
rarely does the organization get called Weapon X.
It was called Weapon X because it was an X-Men comic, and they wanted to put the word X in it. That's why initially. But they did come up with some clever reasoning as to why, saying that Captain America was Weapon 1 or 0 or whatever, and then others.
Yeah, and Nuke is like Weapon 4 or 6, and Deadpool's Weapon 13, I think.
Weapon Phantom X is in there somewhere too, isn't he?
I think he's number 14.
So then we get some of all of those characters and references to that sort of stuff. So yeah, he names himself, says, "Call me Wolverine." So that we get the name, which is funny because his costume already has these sort of feral claws and scratches on it, which already seems like Wolverine-esque style kind of attire. Even with the way the fur goes on Wolverine is kind of like his eyes.
I knew he had claws before.
Yeah, but even the fur of the Wolverine, like the way it curls up by the ears, kind of looks like his hair and his the things.
Definitely a custom suit.
Yeah, so it does seem like they already knew he was calling himself Wolverine, but regardless.
I mean, Puck has a suit with a big P on it, so they could definitely customize these suits.
Well, that's true. But in the present, of course, we learned about all that history. We cut back to General Chasen being there.
Jason.
They call him Chasen in the series. It is revealed the Canadian government is trying to replicate the adamantium process, but failing, and they kidnap Wolverine to help them.
Oh my god, their whole plan is
it's so bad. It's so
We've tried repeatedly to duplicate the process that created your adamantium skeleton. The results have been less than encouraging.
And so Wolverine's answer is the best thing ever.
We brought you home to find out how you managed to survive the process.
I survived it because I'm a mutant, you dimwit.
That's true. That is true. And they just admitted to essentially probably killing a bunch of people that when trying to, redo the I'd assume they're probably
our government's up to some shady stuff in the 90s.
Yeah, there is some redeeming stuff to Alpha Flight, which becomes apparent in a few minutes. But the whole group and the Canadian government does not sound very good in this in this series.
They sort of toe that line in the comic too.
Well, especially
they're never quite happy with the things they're sent to do. They're not like other superhero teams that just do what they want. Alpha Flight actually has to go do things they don't really want to do.
And Vindicator's quite the jerk. Like he's very much like angry at Wolverine for leaving him, almost to the point that he sounds like a jealous lover. Like he's mad that Wolverine
in the comics too. Mac's just kind of an asshat. Mac. James McDonald Hudson. Yes. He goes by Mac.
Right. So so he says that. Then they say, well, we're going to examine him. We learned that Heather only agreed to do this if she's the one that can examine Wolverine, because she will do the least amount of harm that she could to him, is what her intention is. It's noble, but it's still misguided, because she says, I can't remember the exact quote, but she says, like, I'm the one to have to do this to make sure it's done, correctly without you suffering. And Wolverine says, you don't have to do this. So it's still a choice. Now we get that.
You taught me that, he says.
Yes, he does say that, which, we don't get a deep amount of how much time they spent together before, but does, with a bit of a montage, we see that they, brought him back to civility.
Till he's back on his feet. Yeah.
Exactly. So then we get that wonderful little interlude where we go back to the Savage Land and see Xavier and Magneto, who are walking across a rope bridge, trying to figure out where they are. Xavier, of course, is asking why, how Magneto's been so.
I can't believe they're already back on another rope bridge. Didn't they just fall off one? Or am I thinking?
No, they went right off the side of a cliff, I think, on that one.
Oh yeah.
And then they went down a waterfall.
Right.
So then they meet Vertigo, who makes her first appearance in the series, who states
that, cool.
And you have that line about who are you and what are you doing here?
All the mutates in the Savage Land are Magneto's creations. We now follow a new master.
Who we know, or we can.
Is that the computer from Star? Is that the computer from Star Trek? Because it sounds an awful lot like her.
I was gonna say it sounds like Storm. It's the Storm.
Yeah, it kind of does too, actually. Isn't the computer from Star Trek Deanna Troy's mom? Am I get that wrong?
Yeah, Majel Barrett. Okay. Majel Barrett Roddenberry.
So so then we learn that Xavier's surprised to learn that Magneto
my new Star Trek badge. Pretty sweet.
That is very sweet. So we, Xavier's surprised to
podcast. Put it right on my breast.
It's pretty cool.
Right across my breast here.
Say breast one more time. You're just trying to titillate our viewers here, or what?
Yep. This is the X-rated podcast.
So then of course Xavier's surprised to learn that Magneto had some kind of knowledge of all these mutants that are here and something to do with it. She attacks them with her powers, I guess causing vertigo. To which they stumble out across the rope bridge, and then Xavier pulls a knife from a bone knife that somehow appeared in Magneto's belt that apparently they fashioned somewhere between the last episode and this one. Use it to cut the rope to the bridge.
Savage, so there's bones everywhere.
It's just bones, just a bone zone, really. It's bones everywhere. So I think that was a rejected name when they were creating the Savage Land. They thought, they had Bone Zone, they had Savage Land. They're like,
say Bone Zone one more time. What are you trying to do? Titillate our listeners?
I sure am. And if they want to be more titillated, they can meet me later in the Bone Zone.
Oh my. You heard it here first. Just email me directly, listeners. I will give you Andre's contact information and home address.
Please, you don't have my home address.
I know, I don't. Can't help you with that. You're just going to have to use Google Maps.
Yes. Alarmingly, it's quite easy to find people in our modern day world. So,
and in Nova Scotia.
That's true. It is. I wish there was a mutant from Nova Scotia. I don't think we have one, do we?
No.
I tried to look at because you commented on the
you're the closest thing we got.
Yeah, I know, which I thought was nice. But then I tried to look it up to see what Nova Scotian superheroes we had. And I think there are some in indie books that people have put in.
Marina's from Newfoundland.
Yes.
And she's actually an alien, so she's not even really from Newfoundland. She lives there.
But just to have one, you think some of these people that are right from Marvel that live here, one of them would have thrown a Nova Scotia character in there. Hopefully some point they will.
Man.
So so then they escape to safety after they cut the bridge. That's about it. So just a minor little spot for them. Then we come back to see Jean when she's using Cerebro finds Wolverine, who's in pain.
I got that.
Wolverine felt him. Such pain.
Man been a pain since the get-go, Shell.
Gambit straight fire this episode.
Oh man,
Gambit is straight fire this episode. Man been paying to get go, Shep. Just
I had to listen to this episode. Well, because I always listen to the episode again in just audio after I watch it, and sometimes I enjoy it more listening to it than I do watching to it because I catch the humor a little more.
Man, but pay for the get-go, that Shep.
Yeah, like that just rolled off me when I was watching it, but when I was listening to it back, he just had me rolling on the floor.
Yeah, it's really good. So of course they can't locate him because he's too far away, or he's in whatever process while they're doing this. It's funny because what they're doing, they call it a probe, and it's just like a beam that shoots into him and causes them pain. We don't really know what it's doing. But anyway, Heather stops the examination, gives some water to Wolverine. Chasen's upset that she's calling it. She says that they said it's Chasen. They call him Chasen several times in the episode. Sorry, eh? I did like the Puck slid an A in there, which is funny. If you do have to fit those stereotypes.
Puck says A after every sentence, though.
Yeah.
He does that in the comics too, so at least that they keep that.
Well, I mean, like I said, John Byrne is Canadian, and he did write most of those comics. So
yeah, so he gets a pass on all of it.
So Chasen, she says the probe's gone as deep as it can go. It didn't learn anything. They have to cut him loose. Chasen's unhappy, wants to cut the skeleton out of him. They get upset. Heather resigns immediately from Department H.
The only sure way to learn the secret of Wolverine's skeleton is to remove it from his body.
Are you crazy?
Yes, he is, because this whole plan is crazy.
Chasen is quite nuts in this, I must say.
It's like you guys gave him that skeleton. Well, no, see,
no, they don't. They didn't. Or no, that's
Cornelius did.
Yes, yeah, but he could have been connected to these guys for all we know, which is what I assume is going to be revealed later. But Chasen is rather maniacal in his quest to get to figure this out, and he's also upset that Wolverine left them as well to go off. But Wolverine does establish during this process, which I think might come up here.
I have a question: why does the Canadian government need a bunch of adamantium boned clawed Supermen?
The same reason any government wants a weapon: to use it if they need to, or use it to get what they want. And Wolverine does state it's very quickly, but it does state why Wolverine left, and it was because he didn't want to be used as a weapon. But he literally just left one organization that used.
Why everyone ends up leaving Alpha Flight though? Their roster changes all the time, and that's everyone's just sick of doing stuff they don't want to do.
He just left one organization that used him as a weapon to go to Xavier School and basically be a weapon for the X-Men. Like that's all he does. They throw him
but on the X-Men, he goes where he wants to go.
I guess. Okay, we'll go with that. So Wolverine, which is Logan Shack. So Chase drops some water on the keyboard when he gets angry, which loosens Logan Shackles somehow. This system is not impenetrable.
Hey, Wolverine, you want to go be a weapon airship?
It's so fast, I don't even know what he's saying. It's like, yeah, sure, damn it, whatever.
Yeah, sure, Cage Gumbo.
So I just love that, spilling water on a control panel immediately just screws up all the electronics attached to it, and then the shackles release. Wolverine gets out. Vindicator angrily asks Wolverine why he left them. The rest of Flight break in, and they were listening at the door, and they're torturing Wolverine and learning that they were told that they had to bring Wolverine back in so he could rejoin the team because they missed him because he's their friend. They did not realize they were going to torture him and potentially murder him to learn the secrets of his adamantium skeleton.
Yeah, Puck says, I just thought he was going to come. We were going to go get him, and he was just going to come be on the team again. We missed him.
Puck said, I just thought we were going to go get him. He's going to be in the team again, eh?
Yeah.
Shep. Shep. When I first heard that, it made me laugh a little bit, like I was on the treadmill or the elliptical, and then when you played it again, it just really fired something in my brain that just is killing me.
I had to hear it all twice too. Gambit is on fire this episode. There's two lines in there.
I have to look over to the shop. Just really contributing to the group, that Gambit, I gotta tell you. So the robot guards rush in to try to subdue Wolverine. Alpha Flight comes to his defense. Vindicator and Wolverine fight. Wolverine seems to have managed to penetrate his barrier and is going to stab him. Heather, of course, stops him, tells him not to. He's still her husband.
I still love him.
Yeah, that's right. Wolverine tells Alpha Flight not to come looking for him again. He said all bets are
Notice
off.
though, actually, they sort of break the fourth wall here in a second. Did you notice that?
What was that?
It's kind of meta for a second.
These guys aren't even human. They're androids.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Sasquatch, he's like, yes, we're in a cartoon, and these are not humans.
Yeah,
so we can actually like tear them apart into pieces.
And did Alpha Flight not realize that all of the guards hanging around them were not humans? Like at any point, did they never try to talk to?
They don't make
guard
Alpha Flight look super smart in this.
I guess not. But it's funny too, because like, what is Department H? Just General Chasen, and then like 100 robots and Alpha Flight. Like, is that it? Who does he answer to? Is it just the Prime Minister? And if so, why is the Prime Minister up to this evil shit?
The person they usually answer to in Alpha Flight is just called the Director.
Oh, well, that's nice and vague.
Yeah.
So Wolverine
sitting in shadows as well.
So Wolverine tells them like, thanks for the help, but next if they come looking for him again, all bets are off, and then runs off into the woods, back to from whence he came.
You ever comes after me again for any reason, all bets are off.
Yeah,
and then the sweet end music. So much. Dun, dun, dun.
And we get a very succinct, very quick end to the episode. But we've learned some stuff about Magneto. We've learned a little bit about ourselves, and now we're ready to move on.
Pretty meaty episode, though, I thought.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit.
Right.
I mean, I do have some issues with some of the depictions of some of these characters. However, I mean, it is a show called X-Men, and they did find a way to get Weapon X in it, or Weapon X and Alpha Flight in it. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, let's discuss that for a minute.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
Ratings from 1 to X. Andre, why don't you go first?
8.
Look into your heart and decide. 8. Me too. That's what I had.
So I would have liked a little better. I would have liked some more of Alpha Flight, maybe better depiction of them instead of just like seemingly yes men that just do whatever these guys tell them to. They do have some kind of a an awakening, but I would have liked to see a little more of that. So
it's an 8 for me because the humor is there and it was good to see Alpha Flight. And
Alpha Flight was super
Weapon
cool
X stuff. The backstory of Wolverine was good.
I mean, it's the best they could do in this environment with this version.
Yeah,
you can't
have
them slicing up people, and being a full rage monster. But I think they did a really good job. So I really enjoyed all that. Getting some of Wolverine's origin is fun. I mean, we have been getting drip feeds of it with the Sabretooth episode earlier. But where
it loses 1 point for me is the portrayal of Alpha Flight. Like some of the voices, they're not very smart. The thing about Alpha Flight comics is Alpha Flight characters are very real and grounded. They feel like real people more so than a lot of superheroes.
Like hardly anyone talk or say anything really.
But
like North Star and Aurora have like maybe half a line of dialogue.
They pick Wolverine.
They pick him up. They pick him up and take him into the sky, and they say something like, "You're not going to want to fall from this." Well, I got to do it in French. You're not going to want to fall from this height, And then he, you don't know me very well. And then he smashes them together and falls all the way down into a tree where he hides.
Yeah, but where it also loses a point for me is the motivations of Alpha Flight and the Canadian government people, like Department.
Yeah, I mean,
it's all just terror. Like there could have been better motivations.
If I left this podcast and went off to go do another podcast or join somebody else, and then say we had a boss, and our boss says to you, "You have to go fight Andre to convince him to come back to the podcast." Does that make sense to you? Like
I do it, but it doesn't make a lot of sense.
You're gonna beat some sense into him. That's the only way we're gonna get
some sense in you if I have to bring you back to the podcast. The listeners need us together here.
That's a hypothetical.
Not the
I would never leave you, sir.
Thanks. Neither will any of our listeners.
That's right. Hold on forever. Holding on for one more day.
They have to stick around for Spider-Man animated.
That's right. And then I don't know, Gargoyles and all the other super nostalgia podcasts we're gonna do.
Watch all the cartoons of the 90s.
Every Beetlejuice, Gargoyles. I mean, Beetlejuice is pretty esoteric. I think that one is way bigger in Canada than it was most other places. But
I thought of
you
a
know,
movie podcast idea for us too.
but you finally watched the movies? Would that be it? Because you haven't seen a lot of them.
What, me?
Yeah,
Oh, I've seen a gajillion.
you got hardly
movies.
any of our references when we talked to Rick.
Oh, like the Peck and Paw stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of westerns.
Well, that's classic.
You haven't seen The Godfather. You don't lecture me on.
You got it. Well, I know about it. I know it exists.
I have some.
I am going to watch it. I just need
get
time.
Back to my idea for a second. That's part of my idea. My idea is you assign me a movie I haven't seen. I assign you one to watch that you haven't seen, and then we meet on the podcast and discuss.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
After we do the every cartoon from the 90s, we'll circle back to it.
We'll be old.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. 100 years old.
I'll go back and watch some westerns by then.
Well, there's some good ones.
I like the good, the bad, the ugly.
Okay, so you like the spaghetti westerns, the Sergio Leone ones. Have you watched all the other ones?
No, not all of them.
No, okay. A fistful of dollars, a few dollars more, and the good, the bad, and the ugly are kind of his duck. I think Ducky Sucker is the last one. But yeah, they're. I mean, if you like
True
those,
Grit count. I like True Grit, not the John Wayne one, the new one.
It 100% does, and it's a vastly superior version of that movie. I did not like that movie. I can't believe they gave John Wayne the Oscar for that. But the new one is like Coen Brothers did it. Who are my favorite directors? So
it was great movie.
It's fantastic. However, one of my favorite westerns,
starring Haley Steinfeld, who is of course Kate Bishop.
One of my favorite westerns is 3:10 to Yuma. The original and the remake are both excellent. So watch those. Anyway, back to the story. Yeah, so I feel like it's good. There's just a few things holding back from being a perfect X, but it's still good. Great episode, a lot of fun.
You haven't seen Citizen Kane either, have you?
let's move on.
All right.
All right.
So we got 2-8.
You're gonna watch Citizen Kane over there, champ? Citizen Kane up. He's just good.
Uncanny X-points. Guess I'll
go first. Okay, you go first.
Oh yeah, you can go first. Go ahead.
All right, a cavalcade of first appearances and returns of obscure mutants. We got Nightcrawler, we got Domino, we got Archangel. Seeing again.
What?
Yeah, it's Archangel in there.
Where did we see Nightcrawler and Archangel and all these?
When Jean Grey was searching for Professor X, it showed all these mutants across the world that were flashing in on Cerebro. Yeah. We saw Domino, we saw Nightcrawler, we saw Archangel, we saw Cannonball, Psylocke, Quicksilver, who is my favorite X-Man and Avenger, or one of my favorite. I'd say my favorite Avenger, more my favorite X-Men. So one of my favorites, and Scarlet Witch. So we've seen all of them. Plus, we get the first appearance of Vertigo, which is fun. So yeah, and some new character. I mean, obviously Alpha Flight. Aside from them, we get all these other kind of fun stuff. So it was really, really neat.
Oh crap! Good thing you caught that. I must have been watching The Baby or something.
Jesus. How this baby's going to come between us and this podcast. I'm walking. I'm joining the other X-Men podcast. You're going to have to come fight me to bring me back.
No, I want to look at my baby and you'd melt. She's very cute. Yeah. All right. For me, Alpha's interpretations. Wasn't a big fan of those. That was my big beef with the episode. Other than that, I liked it a lot. And it was still good seeing them. The designs were great. But yeah, I mean, Mac was perfect, and they kind of got early Heather right. Like, I'll get into that later. I got lots to say about that still, but
all right,
Puck didn't seem like this kind of like he's sort of a bar going tough guy. You know what I mean? He's the kind of guy you'll see in a bar just drinking away, and if you start some shit, you're gonna fight. You know, that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that feeling from him. I didn't get the scientist feel from Sasquatch. Snowbird didn't say anything.
Like one or two things, but barely anything.
I don't think she said anything, actually.
I thought she had a line. I think she has a voice credit in here. Somebody has a voice credit.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, let me see. So,
the owl sound.
Melissa Sue Anderson did her voice, so she must have said something.
Maybe she did say something.
I love that the guy that played Vindicator's name is Barry Flatman, which makes me think of the Great Lake Avengers character Flatman. Which is funny.
Mm-hmm. All right, back to you.
All right. Vindicator. Like, okay, so it seems like he's almost in love with Logan. Like the level of how upset he is that Logan left him. It's almost like a jealous lover, like when you leave. And he's like, why did you leave us? And he keeps he brings it up like 5 times. Like, you left us. Why did you leave us? Why did you leave us?
Nobody leaves Alpha Flight.
Nobody leaves us. Come back. Like, it's very like I know that's not where they're leaning, but it certainly reads that way too. Like an adult that's seen a lot of adult themed fiction. That it kind of reads that way a little more than by adult themed. I just mean stuff for adults, not porn. But
so far in this show, Canadian males take relationship things really badly, psychotically badly.
Maybe we're all just
must
really
be a Canadian trait. Yeah.
Maybe all Canadian males are really bad at dealing with their emotions when it comes to fraternal and platonic and romantic love, because it seems like these guys were all real bad at it. Like even Puck's like willing to go fight a dude just to bring him back to his teams. He missed his friend, like,
and thinks that's really cool. He's just like, that's what we do. We go beat him up a little bit.
We're just gonna beat him up, and then he's gonna beat him up a little bit, and then he comes back. It's
like a bachelor party thing.
It's friendship 101.
It's like hazing.
That's right.
All right, back to me. Well, I was thinking kind of about the 97 show coming up. I was thinking if we're going to see any of these characters again, if they're going to... I still have a feeling they're going to try to catch up to some of the modern storylines in that show.
No, probably.
There are a lot of the best ones that haven't been tapped yet by it.
Oh, there's so many since that show came out. So many.
And so many good ones. I'm excited.
Especially ones that relate to the
assuming they do, I think Aurora and North Star are the two we'll most likely see again, because they're the only two that are mutants. They both have played roles on the X-Men at different times, especially North Star. So more Aurora now. Aurora's on, I think, Marauders right now. But yeah, so they're both playing pretty key roles in
that show comes out in 2023, right?
Yeah.
I wonder, because about the rate we go through this, we're doing an episode a week. I guess it's 52 in a year. We probably won't be through. We probably won't be through.
We will.
We'll be through this before it comes out.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Assuming that we're probably
unless we do a lot of specials and stuff. The way I had it figured when we started, we would be done. Like it was going to be close. Like we'd be done and maybe have a couple weeks off and then start 97, which we are going to do. Right, we're going to do 97 as it comes out.
Oh yeah,
might
sure,
as well.
Sure.
Let's do it live. Not live, but like we'll do it like
we'll do it live.
Day after it airs, type of thing.
Davin and I often like to, before the show begins, quote that Bill O'Reilly clip from when he was first starting, when he's screaming at some poor dude off camera about how he's going to do it live. It's ridiculous.
Andre always gets closer and closer to like it actually. I thought it was going to be on the recording a bunch of times because he does it and it's like my thing's twisting. It's like going live, and Andre's just like, we're doing it live. Fuck it! Like he's like,
fuck it, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. Like bang
but
the table.
It hasn't made it into the beginning yet. I mean, we just did it here now.
We're gonna have. Well, I'm glad we brought it up. So it is a running gag between us for sure.
It is.
All right, is it back to me? This is point 3 or point 4?
I did the North Star one. Yeah, 3 for you. Yeah.
So Shannon at one point pulls a magical staff out of a satchel, and the staff is way too long for the satchel, and indicating the mysticism of his abilities. This is very similar to
it's his like medicine pouch.
Is that established in the books? Is that how he rolls? Does he have a medicine pouch that does stuff like that?
He definitely does have a medicine pouch, but he does all kinds of mystical stuff, man.
Just for a little, I thought I looked into this a little more because it obviously is a trope that is used often in animation, usually with Looney Tunes or Disney characters, mostly Looney Tunes. Although Marvel characters in the past do have similar abilities. Most notably, Deadpool has done it before as a joke. But Slapstick, who's a character I believe I brought up on the show before, that's like part of his ability is he can reach in to like a nether space and pull weapons out infinitely that are cartoon because he is a living cartoon. Which I thought was fun kind of reference. It's known as in animation as Hammer Space. Because often
him on X-Men 97.
Possibly. He isn't a mutant.
He's on Deadpool's Mercs for money.
They call it Hammer Space because often people pull a hammer out of the space, which is fun. So I didn't know there's a term for it, but it does exist.
Hammer Space.
Yeah.
Which is used often in your favorite movie of yours, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It's true. Toons do have access to hammer space.
Drawn briefly by guest of the show, Rick Oberg.
Sure was.
When he realized it's hard to separate cartoon from live action in a comic book.
Yes, he is correct.
Wise man.
You're up.
Am I up? All right. Well, next one for me is, I mean, we talked about it briefly, but the Canadian government agenda. It's like they wouldn't have been getting my vote in the next election if I got wind of any of this. This is just dreadful stuff. Let's just keep murdering people to see if we can put bones.
And Jason
because it
seems
worked
like
once, and that's really great that it worked once. So like, yeah, this is what we have to do. This is the future of Canada.
And at this point, we don't even know that they're like, I don't know if it comes established later, but we don't know that like Department H has any connection to Weapon X. So like they don't even know the process that Department H used to do it. All they know is that they did it. So like they're just trying to like out in the weeds, just trying to do this and killing people while they're trying to figure it out. Like, why is it that important? You have an army of mutants at your disposal. Just go get more mutants. Maybe find more that heal and then put more, adamantium.
Check Nova Scotia. There has to be a couple in there.
That'd be one or two out here. I mean, Sabretooth can heal. Throw some adamantium on him. I mean, maybe not, but
he's gotten adamantium twice.
Yes, he has. The comics have a long, long history of giving people adamantium and then taking it away. This is that's very interesting. All right, fourth point to me. Where'd it go? I had it here. Right. So the origin story of Wolverine, seeing him get his adamantium skeleton, although it was a seemingly watered down version, I'll say neutered, I guess, version of his origin. It was still very similar in design to the original series, which is written and drawn by Barry Windsor Smith, who's a very famous,
one of the best
comic artist, one of the best. Most recently, did that monster book that was originally a Hulk story that he turned into a.
That'll be a recommendation from me on another episode of
Have you read it?
I have it.
It's sitting by it's in my read pile. It's like 2 from the top, so it's next.
I have the single issues.
Oh, really? Wait, Monster? No, he only released it as a graphic novel. Barry
Windsor Smith?
The new series called Monster. It's a big.
Oh no, I was talking about the Barry Windsor Smith Weapon X stuff.
Oh yes, no, I have read that a long time ago. But yes, that is the original. So yeah, it was cool. If you want, I'm not sure that's in your recommendation for comics, Davin, but it's certainly one you may want to seek out to get the full story and a lot of the influences behind this episode.
Back to me. All right. Mac. Heather in the Vindicator suit. Heather is a way better Vindicator than Mac will ever be. And I'm going to get into that a little more in my comic recommendations here. But let's just say, if you're like, hey, I don't know much about Alpha Flight, but their leader seems like a real douche, don't worry. They're going to get a way better leader. And that's Heather,
Heather
Hudson. She's an awesome character. She has a lot of growth as a character and a lot of struggle as a character, and it's all very real. I'll just stop talking. I'll wait for my comic recommendations. But yeah, Heather over Mac.
Okay, I was trying to look up what the H in Department H stands for, because that's my final thing. I was looking up what Department H in Earth 616 proper is. Just as a branch of the Canadian government, sanctions, supported, and monitored all superhuman activity in Canada, and also oversee Alpha Flight. But Parliament Hill created Department H as a research and development program under the umbrella of the Ministry of Defense. It's like the James Hudson Act of its administrators. So there's the origins of the Canadian version, but it is actually very similar if you just scroll through any kind of wiki about it to what has been established in this episode. So they were pretty faithful in the comics to that, and it's great. And that's. I'll make 2 side notes in this one. And I'm happy that Len Wein wrote this episode. I mean, if you got a Wolverine specific story about his origin, I mean, I don't think Wein was the one that brought in the Alpha Flight connection, was he?
No, I almost maybe would have preferred they tapped John Byrne for this.
I too would have preferred that, but it's fine. I don't know if he was writing animated series or he was busy with his own thing at the time. But it's cool that Len Wein, a guy who is obviously deeply connected to Wolverine's origin, wrote this episode. So
all the Wolverine stuff's great.
Kudos to them, yeah, exactly, for keeping it in the family, as it were, with Len Wein writing this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, that was your last one.
It was.
All right, so for me, I miss Marina. That's a shame. No Marina. It would have been cool to see what they did with the Newfoundland accent, like all the accents they've been doing with like Puck and everything. It would have been funny to see how they went with the Newfie one. Yeah, and the other one is Talisman. Michael Two Youngman's daughter. She's a great character. I would
right. She wasn't there the initial run. She came in later.
No, so I understand why she's not there. But I like Talisman. She ends up dating Puck.
I'm guessing for Marina, since she's water based, they didn't bother putting her rings. It wasn't like it needed to be there, and they already had enough people. But would have been nice to see her.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Talk amongst yourselves. No, I'm just kidding.
The progressive either.
Hey, check this out.
Hey, check this out. This is our comic reminiscences and recommendations. Why don't you go first, Andre?
I feel like we're going to overlap a bit.
Oh,
okay. Maybe. I feel like we're going to overlap a bit, so maybe you should go first.
Okay. All right. Then when you talk, I'm going to go grab more.
You have enough.
But I forgot one. All right. Well, obviously, John Byrne's run of Alpha Flight is issue number 1. So what I suggest is reading issues 1 to 12. And that's kind of like the origin of Alpha Flight, the first 12 issues. And there's some, like I say, they have really real problems. Like, it's not typical superhero drama. But, like, there's some great covers here. Like, there's Marina there. Look at this is a classic cover. This one where like Aurora's kind of losing her mind.
Byrne's got some beautiful use of negative spacings there.
Marina there. And Puck joins the team because he starts on Beta Flight. But then they lose Marina.
How many versions of flights are there? Because there was Alpha, there was Beta, there was Omega,
Gamma.
There's a Gamma. Oh, right. That's only recent, is it not? And that's because it's based around gamma radiation. Didn't that come out of Al Ewing's story? The Immortal. Well, there's an Immortal Hulk.
Yeah, I know.
Story, and then they have a Gamma Core that was a spinoff of that, or Gamma Flight that came out of that with Wendigo.
It's in this first issue. I could crack it open and find out.
That's all right. No worries.
But yeah, there's great covers here. Snowblind, which is an all-white cover. Classic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cover.
There. But like I say, so you read all the way to, and of course, number 11. You get to number 11, and to save the life of the woman he loves, he must face them all. And then you got to buy a comic that says this on the cover. And one shall surely die.
They're all still alive.
And one surely does die,
but then returns to life at some point.
No. Oh, well, like maybe now where everyone's alive again. But yeah, for a very long time, this person was dead.
I'm assuming it's Heather because she's the only one that...
No, it's not Heather. It's James McDonald Hudson. And that's when Heather takes over as the leader. So this is where I want to talk about James over Heather. He's kind of an asshat the whole time. And then, like, he does something super noble, and it's this noble sacrifice where his suit is malfunctioning. Spoiler alert, by the way, for comics. But, they're old.
Yeah, it's been 40 years probably since that came out.
So his suit is malfunctioning. He's trapped inside of it, and it blows up and kills him. Like it's crazy, and the whole scene's tense because he knows it's happening, and like it's a good comic. Alpha Flight number 12. So then he dies, and Heather's thrust into the suit and becomes the Vindicator and has to lead Alpha Flight. And she was never the person to kind of live that life. She was the scientist. So her growth, where she's very open in the book and like the, of course, inner monologue back in those days, about her uncertainness and her fears and not thinking she's the person who can do all this. And she becomes such an awesome leader, like better than he ever was. Heather Hudson is a great character. That's my Heather Hudson rant. But yeah, there's a lot of great covers there. And then I got more. So then if you want to read some more Alpha Flight, there's other great series as well, not just John Byrne. There's the Siegel run. Some good stuff in there. Not super long. And then there's this run by Scott Lobdell.
Oh, yes. Very famous writer, or artist, rather. Did a lot of...
Sasquatch cover there. But there's also... this show has a lot of influences from Jim Lee art. Not everyone may know, but Alpha Flight number 51. This is the first time Jim Lee ever did work for Marvel. Right here in Alpha Flight number 51. If you ever want to check Jim Lee's first art in Marvel, check that out. 1987. And I'm not going to run over and grab it out of the box, but there's an amazing X-Men run that came out in the 2000s at some point. And there's a story in there called World War Wendigo. And Puck and Talisman and eventually a couple other Alpha Flight members, I believe, show up in that. And that's a fun little series as well. Check that out.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I got two. One is if you want to read all of those comics, but don't want to go track down all of those comics, you can get this, which is the omnibus of John Byrne's entire run on Alpha Flight, which, as you can see in the back, has all these wonderful comics within it. It contains X-Men from
he does the first 25 issues.
This contains X-Men 109, 120, 121. 139, 140, Incredible Hulk 272, 313, and annual number 8, Machine Man number 18, Marvel 2 and 1, 83 and 84, and then Alpha Flight from 1983, 1 to 29. Also, the X-Men Alpha Flight miniseries 1 and 2. And then it's a bit of material from Marvel Team Up. So it's basically all of the stuff that he had done involving Alpha Flight leading up towards the series around it and then continuing on a little bit beyond it. But it's all in here. It's these omnibus editions are tough to read if you're going on a bus or something, but if you have the time to sit at home and go through these, it's a great way to go through the entire series. You get all of John Byrne's wonderful art. I'm a huge John Byrne fan. It may be a dream of mine to talk to him someday on my other podcast. And maybe
that would be amazing.
But otherwise, the other thing I have here was a gift from a friend, which is Alpha Flight True North, which came out a few years ago, I believe, which is a series of short stories.
Oh, I believe that came out last year. I was trying to pick up an issue and I couldn't find it.
It came out in November of 2019, according to the bottom of this.
Yeah, that's last year in my world, man.
Pre-COVID. So it's actually interesting because many people that I've had on my other podcasts have written in this, are writers or artists in this. Jim Zub, Ed Brisson, Jed McKay, and Ramon Perez all had. He did the cover, actually, this cover to the series. So yeah, it's a bunch of little short stories about different characters from Alpha Flight and what they get up to. You get some of Puck in his civilian garb, which is fun. I don't know if you can see him there. See him out in the corner there in his little
very cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's neat. It's a cool little series and got lots of. I think there's a story about James and another character that takes on the Vindicator role briefly. So it's cool. It's a neat little book, and it's got a lot of great Canadian writers and artists that worked on it, which is nice. I like when they they use these Canadian characters and get Canadian creators to work on them. So
it is.
But yeah, it's a fun little series if you can find it. And it was a gift. It's signed by several of the creators. I can't tell which ones because their signatures are indecipherable. But I'm guessing a few of the writers are artists, probably people that were around. I'm guessing Jed and maybe Ed. But it was a nice gift from a friend.
Very sweet. In general, just read Alpha Flight comics, people. They get a bad rap, but they have great lineup. It switches of new good characters come in, like Box, Box.
Just support Canada in general.
And,
it's a great place.
Madison Jeffries. Yeah, exactly.
And just support Canada in general. It's a great place. We got lovely food,
maple syrup. We have a maple syrup strategic reserve.
Let's not get super, stereotypical here by telling people to eat maple syrup.
We have a
or Canadian bacon.
We have a strategic maple syrup reserve. We just let some out to like meet world demand there. Like last year, it was a big story.
I mean, there are foods that are Canadian, poutine, donairs, all that fun stuff. So yeah, go check that stuff out.
Donair
come visit Canada. Come to Nova
very
Scotia.
Haligonian as well.
It sure is.
Very
East Coast
notion, those
specifically,
Donairs.
which is where we are.
Yep. Okay.
Also, I have an issue. Not to go too deep into this, but I don't think Vindicator is the best name for a superhero.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't really get it.
Yeah, I mean, when you
vindication, I get it, but like,
yeah, but you're only vindicated if you're accused.
He was Guardian first in the comics.
Yeah, but you're only vindicated as if you did something bad, and then people realize that people think you did something bad, and then they realize you did, and then you're vindicated. So it sounds like I don't know, maybe a group of villains that become heroes were called the Vindicators would make sense.
Is he supposed to vindicate people's opinions of like superhumans and mutants and that type of thing?
I guess it's just really vague.
Or government, people's opinions of government. No, we have cool superheroes with a really cool suit.
But I mean, if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, as I am, there's a group on that called the Vindicators, who are sort of a parody of the Avengers, and they're all terrible people. So
Vindicators 3,
Vindicators 3, The Return of World Ender. Which is I'm a huge, I don't think we've discussed on the show, but I'm a massive Rick and Morty fan. It's the best show on TV. So to me,
why weren't you at Vindicators 2?
That's right. Well, they thought they had it covered, but then we proved very quickly they didn't. I love one of my favorite lines.
Extraordinary.
Ow. What's wrong with me is my cat just bit me.
Lebowski's
hiding underneath
Lebowski.
Yes, he likes to sleep. Yeah, I gave him wet food. That's like their favorite thing. I cleaned the house just before I did this, and I always, because I had the vacuum running, all 4 cats get pretty spooked.
Yeah, they don't like that.
So I always give them wet food after I'm done to make him feel better. And he got lots of wet food. But I think he's sleeping, like he's resting his head on my foot, and I think I moved it too much, and he got mad. No, things are good with me, actually. We just had a pub crawl this past weekend that I organized here in Truro, which went very well. It was a lot of fun. We drank a lot of alcohol, and it was a blast.
Yes, my invitation just got lost in the mail. It happens.
Yeah, where are you gonna? Well, I don't want you staying at my house, so you have to get a hotel. Are you gonna spring for that?
I was sick as a dog that day anyway. No,
I was gonna say if you want to come out, you can come to the next one. You're wholeheartedly invited. Okay. I just figured you have a baby at home, and you probably don't want to say, "See you, honey, I'm going to a pub crawl in Truro, Nova Scotia."
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Goodbye. And also, the other thing that I'm excited about is Spider-Man No Way Home came out today on 4K and Blu-ray. So I get to rewatch that again.
That's what's working with on.
I know, I picked that up today as well. So very excited. Although on the if you're going to do both sides of the coin, I had just found out I took my car in to get the winter tires taken off, and I had to, I had to
he's fighting again.
He's clawing at me now. He's just playing. He looks very much like an owl right now. He's got his face all squinched up. Yeah, and I just found out I had to spend $1,400 on new tires for my car. So, that sucked. But Spider-Man and pub crawl. This weekend I'm wrestling in Cape Breton, so that'll be fun. Be my first wrestling gig of the new year. So
pretty fun. And you see the scenery of Cape Breton.
I do. Where am I going? New Waterford, I think. That sound right? New Waterford.
You've helped me more than I can say.
The music sounds very much like all we need is life beyond the Thunderdome. It does.
What's working with Devin?
Yeah, what's working with you?
Finally, possibly figuring out this little childcare situation that's been stopping me from getting as much work done as I would like. So, not that I mind staying home with the baby, mind you, but looks like we finally took care of that situation. And
you putting her up for adoption?
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
I mean, if that's what you call dropping somebody off in front of a church.
A church? Oh my goodness! I'll look at it. Don't give your kid to the church.
No, I won't.
For God's sake!
No, really, that's like the worst place to go.
You might as well release him into the woods and be safer.
Yeah,
you have a better shot.
Get adopted by a bear.
Wolverine, like Wolverina.
No, that and it's the weather, man. It's in the springs
It's a
here.
beautiful day today.
Getting outside. It's fishing season. I got my boat. Yeah, man. I'm just excited about the spring and like everything that's about to happen. As I have
So
a
is your
little more time
motivation to
do
getting
things.
your daughter out of the house so you can go sit in a boat and fish all day?
No, it's so I can go landscape and make money.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. I was gonna say it seems a little selfish,
But if I
but
get my work done fast, definitely
ah,
getting in that boat.
there you go. Perfect. Well, it'll be well earned. The other thing I forgot to mention that made me happy today was Volume 4 came in of the complete Spider-Girl collection that I've been collecting, which is the Tom DeFalco series from that ran through the 90s and early 2000s about an alternate history where
Mayday Parker.
Yes, yeah, we follow Spider-Man's daughter as a teenager with him and Mary Jane. Her name is Mayday Parker, or May Parker. Mayday for fun nickname. And when she inherits the Spider-Man, Peter retires after losing a foot, I believe, his leg, part of his leg in a battle. But then, of course, she discovers he was Spider-Man, and then has powers herself. She inherits from genetically, and goes on to be her own version. It's a wonderful comic it's a great, fun superhero story.
That was a good comic.
That shows like, her running into her dad's old villains, her running into the kids of her dad's old villains, them going into whole other worlds with different characters and creating alternate histories. And as far as an alternate Marvel universe goes, it's probably one of my favorites. I think it's one of the best, and it's a beautiful, fun story that went for a really long time. And I only caught scattered issues when I was younger, so it's a real joy to be reading it. And I'm really excited to get into that too. So yeah, read more comics, as I always say.
Yeah, everybody, read more comics. Well, I don't think we have any, or maybe you do. I don't know.
Glad y'all decided to join the party.
Got anything to say about 97?
No, I feel like was there a reveal of something recently about it? Maybe we'll think of something else. No, I don't think so. I think they're kind of in a holding pattern, as the Lee Wald said when they had him on their show, that there's all they can say is that there is a series coming out.
And we sit and look longingly at the eventual show like Wolverine here.
I'm waiting too. Is that the line when she says Scott's waiting for me? He's like, so am I.
So am I.
So am I.
So am I.
That's right.
Yep.
Much like, but unlike Wolverine, we're gonna get a payoff eventually. So,
well, you want to play a game?
It sounds ominous, but sure. Oh, is it the one with the...
No, this game is more of a draft, really. Do with me showing the first Jim Lee comic here in Marvel, and him being such an influence on this show in general. And one of the big things that we all know the Jim Lee era X-Men for is the blue and gold team. You familiar with this, Andre?
I am.
The blue and gold team. Well, I thought X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show, should have its own blue and gold team. And I thought maybe we would just draft them here. And I thought we would have Davin's gold team, led, of course, by Storm, like is in the comics. And Andre would draft the blue team, which is led, of course, by Cyclops. We don't get a choice in our leaders. But what we will do here...
I think you got to choose what team got the leader you wanted.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I did. I got
That's fine.
Yeah, you're a Cyclops fan. You're a big Cyclops.
I'm not a Storm fan, but I am a Cyclops fan.
Exactly. So this is what we're going to do here. We have our leaders. We're going to go one at a time so we can't cross-pollinate too much. However, we're going to pick 5 characters each to fill out our team, and then a 6th character that is more of a sometimes character, one that comes and goes, and that we can cross-pollinate all you want. You can pick off my list, I can pick off yours, whatever.
Okay,
that's not part of the main lineup, but the books, that character was usually Wolverine or Forge or somebody who was never usually highlighted as the main character, but was always on the team anyway. So anyway, that's the game. You go first, Cyclops. Who's going to be your right hand on your blue team?
Quicksilver. I love Quicksilver. He's a lovely character. He's an arrogant prick, and I think as far as dynamics go, with the
Cyclops would hate working with him. It would be great.
Yeah, exactly. I think like for dynamics for storytelling, it would be wonderful. So yes, Quicksilver, 100%.
Okay.
Well, I was thinking Wolverine, but yeah, I'm sure you're going for him. So
I'm gonna throw Nightcrawler on my gold team.
I was gonna get him. Damn you!
No, Nightcrawler's gonna be on my gold team. I'm gonna have a lot of heart on this team. We're gonna have Nightcrawler. We got Storm. Yeah, because Storm can get a bit crazy sometimes. So Nightcrawler's gonna be the one there that she will kind of get counsel from. They're going to have a lot of good discussions, and yeah, it's going to be great friendship development between the two of them as well. All right, back to Andre's blue team.
Oh man, I just had it. What was it? Shoot, no, it was sitting in my head. Who will be the next one on my list? Well, Colossus. I like Colossus. He's one of my favorite X-Men. I love, in the comics. I mean,
That's some heart.
He's quite the rush. He's quite the stereotype. Oh, I remember who it was going to be. I'll save him for next. He has a lot of heart. And the way he's depicted in the comics is a lot less of a giant Russian stereotype as he is in the series. So he's a lovely character with a lot of heart. And yeah, I definitely like to have. I think I'd pick him on the team. You need a strong guy too. So
you get your brute there. Yep, for sure. All right. Well, my next one, perhaps a bit strange, Lila Cheney, and that is for story purposes, because she's the mutant who can teleport intergalactically. So basically, we can take the stories anywhere on Davin's Gold team, because Lila Cheney can take them there. We can be in the Shi'ar Empire. We could have X-Men stories on Skrullos. We could have, it'd be very fun. We can go anywhere. Lila Cheney, and she's an intergalactic rock star. So we could have, if this was a TV show and not a comic, we get some sweet music in there. I like it. Lila Cheney.
Very nice. Very nice. Phantom X.
Remembered who your other one was? Oh, Phantom X.
Phantom X. A newer character introduced by one
Complicated,
who's one of my favorite characters. One of my favorite writers. Created by one of my favorite writers. So I do like the character. I think he's fun. Also kind of an arrogant prick, but also a little more reasonable, I think, than old Cyclops or Quicksilver can be sometimes. So I think, and plus he's got that sort of hard-edged Black Ops sort of connection. So they'll go with Phantom X.
Well, crazy with this one. I am gonna say, kind of need a bit of a brutish type, don't I?
Yes. Going strong guy?
Yes. I am actually going with strong guy. And he used to be Lila Cheney's bodyguard. And he's a great character, man. He always feels pain. He always gets killed. Poor Guido, man. He always gets the short end of the stick. God, yeah, you pulled that right out of my brain. That's a good one.
I'm good at that.
Yeah, and then it's the reuniting of him and Lila Cheney. They would have that past kind of stuff that could be talked about and brought up in the stories. Oh yeah, it'd be really good.
I feel as though my team has gotten rather male heavy, so I need to pick a female for this team. I'm going to go with Firestar, who doesn't get a lot of love in the mutant community, but is a mutant. Most notably on Spider-Man is Amazing Friends from the 80s, and also featured in the New Warriors for a long time, which I really, really liked as a kid. I love that series. So,
and who will be joining an X-Men team near you as she won the most recent fan vote. Right now, I don't know if you know this, Andre, but every year the X-Men vote in story for their representative lineup, and the fans get to pick one of them. And Firestar won this time.
Although, they often put her back in the original costume, the one she had in the Amazing fantasy or some Amazing Friends, and also in oh, you got it, the yellow and red one. Yes, I much prefer the one she had in Maximum Carnage with the leather jacket and the fire suit underneath and the red visor. I love that costume. I would love to see, and she was rather prominent in Maximum Carnage as well, which was obviously a huge Spider-Man storyline in the 90s that, if you were a kid at my age when that was happening, was huge. Also, the Super Nintendo game, people remember as well. But I would like to see that version of her with the leather jacket. If I was writing the comic, that's the version I'd want to see her dressed as.
All right. So it's back to me?
Yep.
How many was that for you? 4 or 5?
That was 5.
All right. So my last one is Long Shot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I like Long Shot. It's getting very spacey, my team, but that's fine. I mean, Storm, the leader, is the regent of Mars now. We're getting spacey. Yeah, Longshot's a cool character. I always like Longshot. That could lead to some Mojo World stories, and I do enjoy Mojo. He's my favorite villain. So, yeah, Longshot. And his powers are cool. Like, luck powers are cool.
It's interesting.
Like in the Deadpool movie where they're like, not very cinematic, and then Domino has like the most cinematic scene ever. But...
Yeah, Black Cat has evil bad luck powers in Spider-Man now, which is fun. So
yeah,
I feel as though we need for my final character. This is the 6th one, right?
Yeah, which is a character who's not featured quite as much on your team and comes and goes, but can be off my list if you want.
No, I'd rather them be more featured, so they'll probably hang around. I feel as though you need that sort of leader, like Professor X person. And I'm going to go with Beast because I love Beast, and I think he would fit that role quite well to be the sort of de facto intelligent planner of the group. He's blue, so he matches the blue team. You know what? I should have picked all people. Actually, not Firestar. I was going to say and not Colossus, but most of them all are blue. Cyclops' costume is blue. Beast is blue. Quicksilver's costume is blue and white. Although I like the black, blue, and white one he kind of had.
And he had his old Brotherhood green one.
Yeah, I didn't like that one as much.
It wasn't great. Green's just not the color that makes you think of speed.
Not really. Blue's good.
Blue works. So why don't you recap your team?
We have leading Cyclops, followed by, I'm not going to do this in the right order because I forgot already, but Cyclops. Then we have Colossus, Beast, Firestar, Quicksilver, and Phantom X.
Very good. Phantom X and your team's gonna hate each other. Phantom X and Quicksilver and Cyclops all on the same team. That's amazing.
That'll be so good. They butt heads all the time. And then you could do a great bottle issue where Cyclops or Quicksilver and Phantom X are stuck together and have to work together. And there'd be such great dialogue of them chirping each other all the time and like trying to one up each other, almost like in the Suicide Squad movie when Peacemaker and Bloodsport are both like trying to prove who's better. That was fun. That was rife for comedy and action. It was great.
I like your team. I would totally read book on that team. My final character, the one that comes and goes, is the character who comes and goes. It's Wolverine. I think he has good dynamic with a lot of the characters on my team. Of course, Storm and Nightcrawler. I like Wolverine, Nightcrawler drinking buddy scenes. Him and Storm have an on and off again thing, and just great friends as well. Take him on the intergalactic crazy missions. Him and Guido, they'd have a good time. Yeah, like this is a fun team. We're gonna go on intergalactic missions. We're gonna see concerts from Lila. We're gonna have a fun time.
Lila just seems like a newer Dazzler. There's like, let's just update Dazzler. Like, it's like let's make a grunge era Dazzler, and that's what we got.
Well, no, Lila's from the 80s too. She goes way back.
I guess, but the way she's depicted recently has kind of been more like that.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Anyway, that's cool.
But yeah,
I mean,
Lila.
honestly, I would.
Like the Dazzler fits on my team too. I almost made her my 6th one, but I'm like, nah, Wolverine.
I almost put white suit Magneto, and he was a good Magneto on my team too. But
yeah, there you go. So there you go. We have Davin's gold team on his blue team, X-rated, the X-Men animated review show. Well,
not bad.
Not bad. I guess we can bring her into a close here. If anyone wants to start their own podcast, do it through Buzzsprout.
Oh yes, Buzzsprout.
I've had great time with them. Their customer service is great. Prices are right. Plus, if you follow the code that you see in the bottom of our little write-up description, episode description, after your second month with Buzzsprout, they will send you an Amazon $20 Amazon gift card, which is basically the price of 2 months anyway. So it's basically just try it out for 2 months, So yeah, check that out. Check the link. Get your Amazon gift card. Start a podcast. Andre and I will listen to it.
We will. We will certainly listen to it.
Certainly, if you listen to ours. But yeah, Andre, what's going on over there at Graphic Histories?
We just had a new episode drop this past week. It was with Brad Seymour, who does an indie comic on professional wrestling called Glory Bound, which is fun. It's a great little talk. Interesting guy. It's an interesting story. And learned a lot about his early love of wrestling and brought him back to it. And he really locked into Wizard magazine, which is funny because that's something I locked into a lot when I was a kid as well. So
I like Wizard,
yeah. So it was cool. Great talk.
Like Wizard magazine now, chap?
Because it was a magazine over there, chap. Chap, what's going on with chap? He was always a pain on the Wizard magazine there, chap. That's good. We're gonna have to keep that one in the chamber for a while. That's a really good one.
Oh yeah, that's the new. This one's for you more.
Something over the chap. Great. Always contributing that Gambit. Always contributing the
gift that keeps on giving.
That's right. Always contributing the great provocative dialogue that really gets the team on course. So I'll be talking to, not sure who's up yet. I got a couple people that I met at the Island Expo. I reached out to one today who has seen my message but hasn't responded. So if I do not hear from that person, I will reach out to the next. But it should be good. If you know anybody that's in the comic industry or has their own comic or is related in some way in science fiction, fantasy, whatever that you think would be a good guest, let me know because I'm always looking for new people.
Yeah, and Andre asks the good questions. It's a good show.
Oh, thank you. It's a lot of fun.
Man, you're a good interviewer. I'm learning.
Yes.
Both about how to interview and about your guests.
Well, that's good too. I wish I could give you any more advice than just talk to people. It's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Just talk. It's conversation. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. But my random question style will work for now.
You are good at that.
Check out my podcast, The Cutest of Trek. What do we got? We got I still edited that episode. Look, it's coming. Check out my podcast. There's a lot of good back stuff. We have a Trouble with Trivia coming up soon. We'll get rolling here soon. It's just we're on a bit of lull there, just with time.
Yeah.
And we're back. We got an episode on space coming. It's good. We just trust me. Look, here's a Trek. We're not going anywhere. We just slowed down for a minute. We're picking her back up though.
Yeah. All right.
Also check out Cousins Podcast over at Live Long and Podcast, my cousin Dave and Jeff. And that'd be there. I don't know if they're using that logo or it's just me. And then check out the show Trivial Debates as well. That's a fun show. I was on there pretty recently. Can't make this next one because I'm busy that day. But definitely check those out. Anything else from you, Andre?
No, just to remind our listeners to do their homework and watch next episode in preparation for our next episode. The next episode of the series will be Externally Yours, which delves into the history of old Cyclops over now.
And a proper two-parter, I believe, isn't it?
I believe so. And a fun little nod, I'm guessing.
It's a cable episode?
After that one?
No, like Externally Yours. Is that cable-y? Is that a cable-y episode?
No, it's a Gambit episode. It's Gambit's origin
story. Oh, yes, the externals, of course.
Yeah, no, that's not the two-parter.
And everything.
That's not the two-parter. Time Fugitives Part 1 and 2. We followed that.
Oh, good. We're going to get a lot of Gambit. He's been giving us a lot of fun.
So the Externals didn't come out too long after this series, so the comic book, right? That was like late 90s, early 2000s, wasn't it?
The Externals? They were mentioned quite a bit in the 90s, because remember in the 90s that Gideon character that with the ponytail who was always running
the big
green
ponytail. He was in.
Yeah, he's an external, and right around the time of that this their episode would have came out, he was confronting Cannonball and telling him how he's an external and that type of thing. So they were quite top of mind in the comics.
Okay, because I was wondering if that was connected to why they chose the name, but
yeah, probably that.
Right.
Okay,
So yeah, externally
that's
yours.
enough.
All right.
All right, time to pack it up then, yeah.
All right, that's up. All right, Chad, we'll get some gumbo this up.
All right, catch you later. Oh, why is that banner still up?
Catch you next time.
Drop that. Yeah, catch you X time, everybody.
1, 2, 3.